It is time to recap day 2 and 3. I'm looking forward to telling you guys about how I've been feeling because I have a lot to share with you guys. Day 2. Day 2, I started off with some yummy oatmeal. It was awesome. And I was feeling pretty good in the morning, even though I was super tired the night before. So that's a lie. I actually did not feel good in the morning until after my oats. Then once I had food, then I started feeling better. But like in the morning, I actually did start to panic a little bit because I had been up like so late the night before on day 1 trying to like edit the video to like make my promise and get it out on night 1. I got it up the next day, like midday, but whatever, I got it up. And the point is that it caused me to be like sluggish for those reasons, but had nothing to do with the diet. So actually once I ate, I felt good, and I felt really good until probably, I made it actually past the 2-3 o'clock slump that normally hits me. So on day 1, I was like freaking out about probably 2:33, and then day 2 I was feeling fine, so I was feeling totally sustained and good. And then for lunch that day, I had actually had like a really big salad, and I had like black beans and corn and other things, and I'll put at the end of this video what I actually had and what consisted of those meals. But anyway, I felt good and energized, and I had a snack. I think I had some seaweed. Anyway, it was really good, and I felt fine. And dinner then started creeping up on me, and I realized that I had not planned what I was going to have for dinner. And I didn't plan the first day either, but I also wasn't starting late, so I wasn't like starting hungry. So like by this time, hunger had already set in, and so I was thinking, oh my gosh, I have not figured out what I'm gonna have, so what am I gonna do? And it was really scaring me, so I quickly tried to like figure something else out because I was making rice and beans for the kids. So I had rice already done, white rice, and I was not gonna touch that. And then the beans that I wanted so bad because I was making homemade beans, and I love my homemade beans, so I put like a little bit of lime in it. My husband used to work at Chipotle, so like I got all the tricks. So I was making the homemade beans, and they smelled so good, and I tried to taste test one, and I knew that I had like a good 40 minutes more to cook. So I was like, shoot, what do I do? So I just totally improvised last night. Yeah, it was last night. And I ended up with some really pretty looking lettuce wraps that tasted not so pretty. So anyway, I ended up after dinner really having a struggling time. So like probably I had an early dinner because again, I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So I just like threw something together really fast instead of just actually eating with my kids and just making sure I had my food, and then just like waiting until I could be with the kids. But instead I just scarfed it up as soon as I got it because I was afraid they wouldn't have time later, like while I was trying to feed the kids, the older kids, and then like the baby. So I was just like, let me just eat while it's ready. And that was stupid because then I had a lot of hours at night where I only had a few amount of calories that I was able to actually eat if I got hungry. I think I had like just barely over 100 left over in my daily allotment. So I was like, oh gosh, what can I eat that's actually going to sustain me if I start getting hungry? And I ended up going over by about 60 calories yesterday. And I know that's why I had early dinner. I wasn't patient. I didn't plan my dinner to start early enough. Like I didn't start cooking the beans early enough. So just poor planning, not the diet's fault. So I ended up going to bed last night like really early, and I just like zonked the heck out, and I slept really hard because of the first night I stayed up so late and just the change in my body and everything. So I stayed asleep until like the last minute this morning, and when I woke up I had this crazy gnarly headache. Like it was a migraine so bad that like just my husband like moving around the pans in the kitchen, it sounded like clanging cymbals. Like it was so loud. I was like, shh, like, just be quiet. I was so cranky. And I thought, you know what the heck is going on? Like, you can hear that I got some something going on because my kids have kind of been off and on sick for the past week and a half. But it could also be kind of my body reacting to the changes. So sometimes you have cold-like symptoms. So it could be either or. But I really believe that it is the food. And I had that migraine just really kick my butt. So it kind of took over my morning, and I started my breakfast late and everything. But I took some Tylenol, and I just thought, I'm not going to deal with this during the day, even though I'm not normally a medicine taker. So I just took it, said, okay, be done with it, and move forward. So I did. I had my breakfast smoothie, and I raved about it on Instagram, if you guys follow me. And it was so yummy, and I just love that breakfast smoothie, and I decided to add in some flax meal today. So that's what I did, and honestly, it sustained me all the way to like 1 o'clock today. I felt amazing. I didn't even feel hungry, and I was like, oh gosh, it's 1 o'clock, I better eat. So that's really good, and that's what I want. So tomorrow I'm actually going to do a smoothie like that again because it just did so well with holding me over. I think the almond butter, like the protein in the almond butter and the flax meal together with the oatmeal, it just really like was something solid that my body could hold on to. So that was good. And then for lunch today, I had some struggle. So that's where I really had my struggle today. So it was funny because like the first day I was struggling at like the in-between lunch and dinner time, and then Tuesday on day 2 I was struggling after dinner, and then today I didn't struggle except for lunchtime. So there were totally different times of the day, but I had a moment every single day where I was like starting to panic, and I'm going, oh no, and it wasn't because of how I was feeling at the moment. It was anticipating feelings to come because I've been through this before. So I was thinking, oh gosh, I want to catch it before it starts, and I don't want to feel like too hungry or too whatever. So during lunch today, after I saw my plate all put together, I took a picture of it for Instagram, of course. Then I always get really hungry while I'm trying to take a picture, and I'm like, oh my gosh, just get the right picture so I can eat it. But food blogger problems, okay? You guys understand if you guys blog your food. But so I got the shot, and I went to sit down to eat it, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is not enough food. Like, I was starting to think that while I was photographing it. I was like, this does not look like it's gonna sustain me, like no way. And I had a lot of things that I had to do at work, so I needed my brain like functioning well because I had a lot of analysis to do, like heavy analysis, and I do tomorrow and Friday also, so I really need to make sure that I am like well sustained. But the point is that it's always an unfounded fear. Like, I'm not actually eating too little, or I'm not actually not gonna have enough to sustain me. It always sustains me. I just am so scared because it's so much less than I am used to eating, which is sad because that means that I was eating way too much, like way too much. Because like when you grow up, a lot of times your parents say like, you need to eat everything that's on your plate, I don't care, and they make you finish your plate, right? You may not be hungry still, or you may just not like the food, but even if you're hungry, like you get into the habit, even if you're not hungry, you get into the habit of just finishing your plate. Well, I'm like that too. And so my whole life I've just finished my plate. I knew better. I didn't want to get the speech about the children that were dying in Uganda because they had no food, and I was sitting here with a whole plate of beautiful food that I was just wasting. So I would just eat it, so I didn't have to hear the speech because I felt bad, so I would just eat it. And sorry, Mom. But, I think all of us moms do that. I do that to my kids too sometimes, and I better stop. But, I think that that's just like a culture thing. Like that's just something that we always heard, so we just always say it. And it's really bad. It's a bad message to send to your kids, because we should be sending the message that if they feel full, pretty much they're too full already, because really when we've eaten enough, it usually takes us about 10-15 minutes for it to like fully kick into your body to where you actually feel satisfied. So I don't want to teach my kids to eat until they feel full. Definitely not over full where you're like, oh, because then you've really overdone it. But anyway, the point is that my lunch satisfied me just fine. I had a whole bottle of water afterwards, and I just kind of took a minute, walked around and got some things done. And then before you knew it, I was fine. And I was like, oh, that was enough food. I feel fine right now. I don't feel like I need a snack. I don't feel anything. So at 2:33, I actually forced myself to have a snack, which is like, what? Because normally, I mean, with that little amount of food, I would be thinking like, okay, like what can I have? What am I allowed to have still before dinner? Because if you guys follow the guidelines, if you're under 250 pounds, then you can't have more than 700 calories before your evening or your main meal. And so I was really nervous about that like every day. So I'm like, oh, I really want to like make that work, because in the past, I've done this program in 2012. When I did that, I really would fail on that. So I would actually make the food and then I would count the calories instead of counting the calories while I'm making it, or counting the calories ahead of time before I make it, like I'm doing this time. Oh, I'm so tired. Sorry, it's like 10:15 right now, and I'm starting to like it's starting to settle in on me that I need to go to sleep right now. But anyway, so today and yesterday and even on Monday, like I really did a good job of making sure that I had my app with me when I was building my meal. So like I knew the things I wanted to have, but before I actually like scooped out and measured out how much I was going to have of each thing, like I would check it in the MyFitnessPal app and see how much calories it was, and if it was going to be too much and like make my meal go way over what my personal goal was for it, then I was like, oh, forget it. I won't add that ingredient, or I'll have less of it, or I'll have less of something else so that I can have the amount I want of this. So that's been really helpful, like especially with calorie dense things like avocado, beans, grains, of course, and fruit. Fruit is always calorie dense, but like nut butters and all that kind of stuff is really calorie dense. So you could put as much greens of things in whatever you want, pretty much, but it's all the other things that really matter. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna make a smoothie with this and this and this and this and this and this and this, probably not. Probably you shouldn't. So just pick a few of your favorites and then go with those. Because if you put in as many things as you think of, you probably have to put so little in it, you may not even taste it, or it just may taste like a blend of everything, and you know, it's not really going to be that POW flavor that you're looking for. So, moving on. I talked about how I felt yesterday and today and what I ate and the different points of the day that I was kind of feeling sluggish. But the other things that I really want to talk about was what worked well for me and what didn't work well for me. So what worked really well for me was, and I share this today on Instagram. Again, if you guys follow me, you'll get like kind of like my throughout the day blow by blow. But I know that planning my kids' meals ahead of time and planning like chores and stuff, since January I've really put a chore chart in place, including for my husband and I I really never like push my husband's, but at least it's out there, right? And mine I'm following on my own, and then my kids, I've been really good about like being consistent with it. We've had days here and there where we've like missed a few days in a row, and I'm like, nope, we're getting back on the bandwagon, because how many times have you like started a chore chart and stopped it, right? Like a million times. Well, at least I have. So I'm like, okay, we need to like stick with it. This needs to be like the new way of life, because I need help. Like my husband works, I work, and we have a little one, a 14-month-old, and then an 8-year-old and 11-year-old. So our life is very busy all the time, and I just need help because I don't stay home full time. I work from home, but when I'm home, I'm not, you know, out doing things around the house, helping out. That's a full-time job in itself. So I am focused at work, and I'm on conference calls and meetings and stuff. So that's one good thing that I did, was make sure that I got a plan in place weeks in advance, so we were all kind of used to the routines. I had help around the house, and the kids actually take turns. So my daughter Tyler, who's 8, is so cute. She loves helping me cook, so she helps me cook, and then my son helps with the dishes afterwards, and then they flip-flop every day. So like then my son will help me cook and she'll help with the dishes, and back and forth, and then of course we have other duties throughout the week that they'll do like once a week or something. So like they'll help me sweep this, or they'll help me wash a window, or they'll help me, you know, sweep off the patio, or clean the toilets. Yes, I make them clean the toilets and pick up the trash in the bathrooms, things like that like need to get done, and like mommy just can't do it all herself. So it makes us feel much more at ease throughout the day and really helps with this process, because so many times with diets and trying to calorie count and do all these extra things on top of your normal daily routine, like the last thing that you want to do is like think about how you're going to get everything done around your house. So it's really good to have a plan in place for that before you have a plan in place for your food and nutrition and everything. So not saying you can't do it without it. You can, but it won't be as effective, let's be honest. So that was something I did great, and I hope to continue doing that. And then something that I didn't do so well was planning my dinners like early enough. Like I told you, the one day I started panicking and I kind of like made something that didn't taste so great, but it was easy to make and fast. So I did that and it looked pretty, but it like tasted gross. So then I was like, did I just waste calories on something that's not going to satisfy me, that I'm not going to feel like good about, and I'm just going to be like thinking about like crap, like is there a snack that I can put in here to make me feel better? That's not good. So it's better to plan your dinner earlier in the day so that when it comes time, you know what you're gonna do and just go to it, so that you don't like taste test things that you can't calorie count and feel like eating whatever you're serving the rest of your family if they're not eating the way that you are. So that's a tip from me. And let's see, I can't think of anything else that I want to tell you guys about like what I did well and what I didn't do well. So the last thing that I really wanted to talk about that has impacted me the last couple days is how I felt like in my body, not mentally, but like how I actually felt in my body. So I have 2 sets of stairs. When you come into my house, my garage is on the first floor, so you have to go stairs up to the normal level, and then you have stairs up to like the bedroom and my office and all that kind of stuff. So when I come upstairs, I noticed the past 2 days, I was telling my husband, it's just funny because I like never did this before, but all of a sudden I noticed at the top of the stairs, like I just jogged up those stairs. Like, why did I just jog up those stairs? Like, I wasn't in a hurry. I wasn't rushing to do anything, or like there was really no reason why I jogged up the stairs right now. That was really weird. And I noticed that I did it like over and over and over and over the past couple days because I go up and down so often with my son, and oh my gosh. So I was just like, wow. My husband's like, you must have a kick in your step. And I was like, I do. Like, I have so much more just natural energy. And I actually only finished half of my cup of coffee the past 2 days and didn't feel the need to have any caffeine or any other like energy pick me up like boost throughout the rest of the day because my food was so great and I wasn't overeating, so I wasn't going like up and down with my emotions. So I was just staying really constant. So that's always a benefit. So yeah, so I wasn't feeling as overwhelmed. I had a lot of stress at work, but it wasn't overwhelming me as much. And I definitely felt like I had more natural energy. So that was really good. And you always hope to have that like immediately. And usually you don't get it, especially when you're like your body's detoxing from everything and you have all these other side effects. You normally don't get like the good things, like the bonus features. But I tended to get them faster, I think, because I already started eating so well like the past couple of years. So like I already cut out so many processed foods in my diets. Like, don't get me wrong, like I was eating like normal bread, like not Ezekiel sprouted bread or anything. I was eating normal bread and like other things I was cheating in eating. So those things, are always hard to kick. Like I still like found myself like at one point being like, oh, I'm gonna grab that. No, I'm not, like I had those moments and stuff. And they'll continue to come, and I'll go up and down through the way that I feel about this diet. I know because I've done it before. But I just remember that my very first time that I did PRISM, it was so much harder. It was so much harder the first week. I was just like, oh my gosh, like what do I do? And when I was having all of those like really bad pains and just kind of like panic moments. But now because I've been through it, I'm able to like talk myself down, like, no, you're gonna feel better, you're gonna feel great, I know it, like you're gonna be so happy at the end, and like I know I've been successful. So it's easy to kind of like talk myself down. So that's good. And the fact that I'm doing publicly, like I do well with accountability, so I just like think about you guys, and I think about you guys watching my journey and watching me succeed and getting inspired from that. And I'm like so passionate about like helping people, coaching, teaching, anything that I can do where I put myself out there to like help somebody. Like I really love to do that. And I haven't had any venue to do that since I moved out here to Texas. It's been almost 3 years. And I just recently started like helping like in middle school at my church, helping with the girls in a small group, and that's like super fun and gets that like part out for me. But yeah, I'm used to like helping adults too, and so like I just don't get enough like interaction, I guess, in that way, because I just have a teacher's heart. So this is like really fun for me, so I love it. And even if I'm only helping one person, then I'll continue to do it. So this is what it looks like. I have been telling you about this PRISM Phantom and not showing you anything. I can't believe that I haven't showed it to you until right now. But this is the book. This is one of the newer ones, believe it or not. The older ones look like super 80s and awesome. But the rules changed a little bit. But they actually ended up closing it down. If they didn't close it down, I'd be referencing it all the time. I'd be pushing you guys to go buy it. But you can't buy it. They actually shut down their online store. Like you can only buy it on Amazon or eBay, like secondhand, and it's expensive and probably has everybody else's answers in the books already. But this program is just amazing. I'm just tweaking it a little bit here and there because I think that some things could be done better because it's a little outdated, and some of the data, you know, we've done a lot more studies since then and we know a little bit more. Plus, I'm trying to go vegan, and if you guys watch my Instagram, then you know that and my journey. So I'm like almost there. Last year, I really pushed hard towards that goal, and this year I know I can do it. So, one thing that I wanted to show you is that, okay, so there's like, see this? There's readings in here, and every single day there's a little lesson, and then there's questions so that you can reflect on the lesson that you just read. But first you have to sign an agreement of resolution, and this is what really helped me. This program's designed to be done where you have like a leader, and then you have a group, accountability group, that comes and meets every week, watches videos, because knowledge is power. And when you know like why you shouldn't eat things, it's so much easier to not eat them. And so we would watch these super informative videos and take notes and talk about it, and then we would like pray about each other's weeks and what went good and what didn't and all that, like I'm sharing with you right now. And that was super helpful. And one thing you had to do with your leader was sign this PRISM weight loss program agreement of resolution. I'm just going to read it to you because it's really important, and I think about this like every day, and it really helps me go. So you'd put, I, insert your name, resolve my desire to change my eating behaviors and learn methods for continuing this control for my lifetime. I resolve that I will follow the food guide, including calorie levels, the guidelines, the key principles of this program exactly, without any deviation from its standards. I agree there are no foods more important to me than becoming slender and reaching my right weight. Even one bite of extra or prohibited food can't compare with the freedom I know when I take steps to become the person I was created to be. I understand that in the event I decide to revoke this resolution through violation of the program, guidelines, and key principles, I will inform my PRISM group leader or accountability partner of my decision. I will willingly submit myself to receive the support, strength, and guidance I will require from others and God to complete this commitment. So it's a very good, you're supposed to read it every single day before you do your lesson and your work so that you can remind yourself that no bite, not even one bite of extra food or prohibited food is going to compare with the freedom that you feel when you're on the right track, when you're doing the right thing, when you're losing the weight and you're feeling good. And it really doesn't compare. I mean, most people when they cheat, they would come in and say, man, I cheated, I ate this or that, and I feel so bad, and all the guilt that came with it. It's like, I didn't feel better, I felt worse. And you know, I mean, that's just like an addict. I mean, you really have to commit, and abstinence is really the only way to truly kick an addiction. You can't like, okay, let me wean myself off, or you know, let me kick it for a week or so and then slowly try to control it. Like if you can't control it, you can't control it. So you can't eat it. You can't like eat a little bit of it, but I can control it. I know when to stop. Does that sound like any addict that you know? I mean, if you have a problem with food, you have a problem with food. And if you don't, you don't. Some people, oh, I just ate a little bit too much in this period of my life and, you know, I'll just get it together, and they do, and they're fine. But then there's others of us who have dieted, yo-yo dieted over and over, and just don't commit to fixing it for a lifetime. Now, I did really good when I did this the first one. For years, I gained like a little bit slowly because I didn't ever get that last book that was a continuance like book. So like there's 4 phases, there's 6 week phases, so it's like 6 weeks for phase 1, 6 weeks for 2, 3, and 4, and then there's a continuance book. Well, I never got that book. I knew who had it, but I never got it, so I didn't know how you were supposed to like go on and maintain the weight. Like I didn't know what the plan was, so I kind of like made up my own plan. I'm like, this is what I think I can do, and then I stopped counting calories altogether because I got really cocky and thinking like, oh, I know how much calories are. But it's so funny, and I challenge you guys to do this. Like if you guys think like, okay, this is a healthy meal, I know that this meal that I make is really healthy and the calories can't be bad, or like this whole day of eating was really good. Go back, if you know exactly what you ate all day, or you know one meal that you ate, you just think it's awesome, like count the calories of that. Go back and count the calories of it, and you'll surprise yourself. I guarantee you, you'll surprise yourself for sure. If you measure every single thing that you put into your favorite meals for your family, if you've never calorie counted, you will be shocked. Even healthy food, especially if you use sauces and dressings, those will kill you. So like I am pretty much sauce free. Like the only sauce or spread or anything that I ever use is all natural nut butter. So I can make really mean salad dressing with apple cider vinegar, extra virgin olive oil that's like cold pressed, and we'll learn about like the cold pressed oils. And I could talk about that on one video, but anyway, so I use those 2 things with, and I used to use it with honey, but now I'll use maple syrup, and shake that together, and it is so good. Or you put like a little bit of lime or lemon in it, and then you put some cayenne pepper even in it to give it a little kick, and it is so good. And you don't need to have the store-bought stuff, but definitely it's calorie heavy, so you have to be careful. But if you just get used to eating salads with lemon squeezed on it or lime squeezed on it, you see a lot of people do that. When I was a waitress, I was surprised at how many people did that. And then I thought of that on my own when I was starting the PRISM program. I thought, oh, people used to get lemons all the time. Like, I bet that tastes good. And I tried it and got hooked on that. So I really very rarely use dressings, but I just would challenge you to go ahead and try to count calories on something that you swear is really good, that you think is awesome, or a whole day of eating that you think is just fine. And I think you'll be shocked at how much you're actually intaking. Another thing that was really good, and this is the last thing I'll share because this video is like super long and I promised it'd be like 2 minutes, and it's probably like 20 minutes. But I didn't want to cut over and over and over like I did on the first one. So, here. So it gives you scripture at the end of it, every lesson, and that's what I really, really like. So this last lesson for day 3 is getting a grip on new attitudes. And so the 2 scriptures I actually gave is 1 Corinthians 10:31, and it says, therefore, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all for the glory of God. And then Proverbs 4:7 says, determination to be wise is the first step toward becoming wise, and with your wisdom develop common sense and good judgment. So and the resolution at the end of it was, I choose today to get a grip on a right attitude about the positive changes I am making in my life. And the questions all had to do with that, and the lesson was really good. It was talking about some of the things I actually was talking to you guys about planning your food before you actually eat it, counting it up before you actually eat it. This book is so good, and I just wish that I could reproduce it for you and not get in trouble, but I can't. So I am thinking of a way that I can do it and merge it with the other ways that I tweak the program. So we'll see. It may come out in a little bit here, but that would definitely be a giant project. So I want to share as much of the program as I can with you. It is a Christian-based program. I believe I mentioned that, but if I didn't, it is a Christian-based program, but don't let that scare you if you're not a Christian. You could definitely follow it without actually having to put any of that into practice. It's just all about creating right attitudes and getting to your emotions, as well as just changing your food. So it's a whole body transformation, mind and body and spirit. So thank you so much for watching and sticking with me on day 2 and 3. And the next video that I make is going to be a full week recap. So I'm not going to do these every couple days. I'm now going to do every week, but I just wanted to like check in with you on the first 3 days because it's usually the hardest, usually like the first 5 days, but I'll be doing a week recap anyway, so I'll cover those days for you. But I hope that you enjoyed like hearing some of the tips and tricks and the different things that I went through, so that if you decide to move forward in your program, or if you want to join me on this one, then you can be encouraged that you're going to get through it. You may have some of those feelings, but that's okay, and it's normal. And you may have some really crazy I don't know, urges just to grab whatever's in your kitchen, but make sure that you have healthy options like that are low cal. And that's why I have the packages of seaweed, dried seaweed, because they're only 20 calories. And if I'm freaking out, then I can at least start eating the seaweed. And usually by the time I start eating that, then I'm like, I'll be fine. But if I don't and I just go to grab a fruit, like a lot of times that's 100 calories in that fruit, or near 100 calories. And then I've just had a whole 100 calorie snack. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just added 100 calories when I really didn't need to. I was just having a moment. So have something that's low cal that makes sense for you, that you can grab. And that's my last of my tips from day 2 and day 3. And I will see you soon. Thanks.